Gamers of Reddit, what gaming experience will you never forget, and why? The Pysho Mantis fight of Metal Gear Solid. Snake, plug your controller into the second controller port. Nowadays, such a thing would be considered trite or a cute gimmick at best, but for the time period, when it came out, 1998, and the first time I played it, I was probably about 10 or 12 at the time, it was mind-blowing. For people who don't know what I'm talking about, in the first Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation, and later ported to GameCube, there's a boss you end up fighting called Psycho Mantis. He claims to be a true psychic and proves it to you by saying things like I'll make your controller move through sheer force of will and then causing it to vibrate. He comments on other games you've played, reading your memory card, makes you think he's turned off the game by doing the default input screen, and even avoids all of your attacks until an ally calls and tells you to plug your controller into the second controller port. It was amazing. The end of Portal 2, in particular the final portal you shoot. I'd waited until I finished my exams to play it, then basically stayed up all night to finish it. What an ending that was. Sadly, of course, it turned out to be the ending of the whole Half-Life/Portal universe. Learning the big secret of Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic about your main character for the first time. I didn't complete the game until way after it was released. I was really young when it came out and didn't even know what Star Wars was, but I never saw anything about it since it seemed like a forgotten game. I have to say, when the big reveal happened, I was shocked and excited. When I was around 4, I was playing Mario Kart on the SNES with my older brother who was around 7 years old. I was falling behind, and he refused to wait for me to catch up. I got angry and bit him. I know it's weird, but it's just stuck in my memory. That was the first and last time I bit someone, and it was over a video game. Riding into Mexico in Red Dead Redemption. The music comes in it's absolutely perfect. Beating co-op Portal 2 with 2 of my best friends. We spent forever laughing, messing with each other, trying to figure out puzzles that made us feel stupid for how long it took. Finishing it felt like a chapter in our lives came to a close. Never going to forget those moments. When I grew up we always had that sort of shitty computer which wasn't all bad, but installing a game was always kind of a jeopardy. It just might not work. So back in 2005, World of Warcraft had finally gotten traction and the news had begun reporting about the online sensation. People were discussing how big it actually were and the possibilities it offered. So at Christmas, I finally got it. I was overjoyed and couldn't wait to get home and plug it in. For those who doesn't remember, it had 5 or 6 discs, which meant 5 or 6 chances of something fucking up for my PC. As far as I remember, it took about 8 hours to install with me constantly leaping in the check on it and change CDs. But then, just around dinner time, it finally finished and the old screen of the giant portal appeared. The next year or so would be completely dedicated to that game, but I'll never forget that certain kind of curiosity and wonder that WoW brought me on that first encounter. Killing Paarthurnax. I still feel bad about it years later. Beating Halo 3 on Legendary with my brother split screen on a small TV in our room. It took us weeks to get to the last level, and then it took us hours to get past the part where you drive the warthog to the ship, where the ground keeps falling down. It was one of the best moments I've felt after beating a game. The first and only time I beat another human in a game of StarCraft 2nd 1v1, because I realized, hey, I outplayed this guy. I didn't have teammates who could carry or feed and neither did he. I just played better than him overall, and that's why I won. It felt great to know that I beat someone because I played the game better than them on an individual level without having to factor anybody else into the equation. I mean, who the hell scans, sees that I have a bunch of tanks sieged up on the high ground with other units supporting them and then tries to push up the ramp anyway? And then, a few games after that, I placed in bronze 3rd. I married a man in Star Wars Galaxies and my town threw a huge wedding celebration for us. After the gifts and speeches we went back to his place and I stole everything he owned. In actuality I was a 13-year-old boy posing as a lady and my buddy was the wedding planner and convinced the town to make sure to bring gifts. He even got paid by the town. The entire thing was premeditated and we laughed for days and days non-stop.
Bye. Goodbye. Goodbye.